And then that gets manifested in different forms. Gets demonstrated in different forms in ourselves and in space and consciousness. And sound has infinite forms. So does light, I think. I was reading the other day that sound came first and then light came. And those are two different forms of vibration.
So exploring potential energy is, are we potential energy? Allison shared flowing as a way to observe energy. We could look, so if it's flowing, we could also look at where is it stuck energy.
And to what extent is it stuck?
We could, yeah. And the point is to be unstuck.
Yeah.
Or flowing again.
Yes. And that points to structure, right?
And so then we shape structure to have built-in momentum.
Yes.
That is our potential energy. And that is being and doing life.
Mm-hmm.
So, where is your energy flowing in the silence? The silence we just had. A reflection question. What was your energy doing in that silence? Because it can just happen to us, or we can create what happens for us in that, with that energy.
So that's a really good way of putting it. I like it. When we have it, and then what do we choose to do with it? And all the variations of having it, right?
What is it? Having it.
Having that.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about how we use definitions.
Mm.
And then it's like use definitions. And I'm gonna bring in that using definitions, we can be familiar with them. We can have understanding of them, or we can have knowledge, which is the ability to act with the word. Good morning, Chi.
Morning, Jesse. Morning, Ellison. Hi.
Morning, T.
You found us in our definitions, and like we have definitions of words, like and I say we can be familiar with them, like we understand the shallow like meaning of them, or we can have understanding of a word, like an understanding a little bit deeper. Yeah. And then I think the ultimate level is like a definition, which is knowledge, like knowledge of the definition, like embodied in its capacity to act. So I was thinking about that. And it was like as definitions as we define them and as we experience them. And it's like that. The combination of those two things is what has been valuable for me in this group, is to take the definition that I have the words to make the definition, and what does that feel? What does that feel like? What does that definition, that word, that experience feel like? So that it becomes knowledge. It's blending them together into this experience, into life, which is the theme that we're talking about today, is potential energy, that we are potential energy that's always flowing, and in places it may be stuck. This is the structure. We all live in a structure, whether we're aware of it or not. And what we're working here is to set that structure up with potential energy, with already existing momentum.
Yes.
And that is creation.
Yes.
So welcome
We
this morning.
create with our words. Words are energy, and our body is 85% water. Water is memory, is intelligence. So whatever we put inside of us, either it's a positive energy or it's negative energy. So words play a big role in how we manifest our world, our reality.
Thanks, Chi. So I heard another way to observe energy was by its charge.
Mm.
Allison
That's
brought in
why.
earlier, it's like to observe the energy flowing or stuck. Where here you said, oh, and we can see the charge. Yeah, positive, neutral, and negative.
Hmm. That's why I love being here, Jesse. Because we raise each other with words, with energy.
Yeah. I was
Almost
thinking,
very it choose to keep the
And
words.
yeah, sorry for interrupting.
no, you didn't. Yeah. And I love your energy. And it's like to be able to discover that we can do that
Mm.
fulfills a yearning.
It is proven by an Japanese inventor, scientist, or whatever. I can't remember his name exactly, but yeah, the words create patterns, of geometric. Um, yeah, the higher vibration, the beautiful, the more the lower vibration. So yeah, we have to constantly be aware of what we. It matters what we think and what we intend, and yeah. So in order to create positive results, we have to put positive energy in.
Yes. And we all know, like we've all heard that before, but we don't practice it.
Yes.
That's the disconnect.
Mm.
You know?
Yes.
And it's like we've been working self-aware. It's like to be aware. We're observing our energy.
Mm.
That's all we're like learning to do. That's all I'm learning to do.
And yet it's the very thing that we were given life to do with.
Yeah. Yesterday, I was with a group of men, and in the conversation of getting rid of anger, frustration, like getting rid of it because they still have it.
Yes. You can get stuck in the negative energy.
Yes. It can become a habit.
Yes.
My life was a habit of frustration and anger because I was living empty, unaware that I was empty, living empty. And I was constantly filling it with more, needing more, requiring more, because when I have more, then I'll be good enough, then I can be loved. Well, it never was good enough.
Oh, it has to come from inside.
Yeah, which I could love myself from
Mm.
the inside.
Yes.
That starts it all.
Me too.
It stops that pattern and starts a new one.
Yes.
I
You don't
love
have to do much.
me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Just by shifting to be aware of putting more love into ourselves. Automatically, we push the negative aside. The more positive you put in, Yeah, I'm still on the path of self-love, self-accept, and unconditional love to myself. And
uh,
yeah,
yeah, and very similar to like I hear in that it's like like there's a should, like a hidden should that we should get there so that we can enjoy our life. It's like yesterday, it was like, oh, it's like when I don't have anger, then all I'll be is happy.
mm,
See,
yes,
that's a structure that's baked into the background.
mm,
And it's conditional, it's on conditions. And it's like
mm,
I'll be happy on with conditions. And there's so much we live our life like, oh, it's with these conditions, if this, then that.
Mm-hmm.
And so observing the energy, and
mm,
it's like that's what this group does. I was thinking about that as like we're each of us bring energy into a group and we play with it.
yes,
So in this silence, it's your energy and our energy. There's no separation until you decide which one it is.
mm,
And so in this silence, it is yours and ours.
mm.
We've been trained to ignore it.
Not to look inside.
That's right.
There's so much distraction from yeah,
And
media,
those,
politicians,
that's right.
everywhere.
They're all patterns to
Mm,
distract. And so like sitting in here in the silence is the opportunity to check your energy. Is it
yes,
positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral?
yes.
Is it flowing? And what we like, you can check that on every word, sentence,
Mm,
topic, every
mm-hmm,
conversation you're in, you can
mm-hmm,
gauge, oh, like, what is my presence here? What is my charge here? Because I'm present. I'm in this moment. I'm being, like Allison said yesterday, I'm observing myself, my energy. I'm observing.
yes, absolutely. The awareness.
You know, and I say it's like for me, it's like I have a tendency to fight. So
Mm,
I'm feeling for my tendency to fight. There's things I run away from. So I'm looking, what is my tendency? Am I running away from that? Even if I'm in a conversation with you guys, I can have a urge, a tendency to move, to withdraw. That's just avoiding. And it's my triggers. And it's like,
mhm.
oh, wow, what is that? Why is it there? Because that's some earlier training that I was unaware of.
The ego is about fight and flight, yeah? And the higher self
Mm,
is about love. So
mhm. And one is trying to teach us, and one is trying to keep us safe.
Mhm. It is there for a purpose, for to serve us, but we don't. It's just that we don't have to put it on the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm. The ego is there for fight or flight and also for psychological attachment.
Mm. Yeah. So what are the words for today?
Uh,
Mm.
we started
Many.
with potential,
Potential.
like self potential, like you are the potential energy. Sorry, so it's energy, potential energy, and it's in the question of like what does it mean that we are potential energy?
Mm.
What does the definition mean? Mean like we can move with it, we can act with it, we can create with it. Meaning we can enjoy our lives as a result of it. And we can enjoy it with others, which is us in the morning. It is what we do here. I don't know what it's called. I don't know. It's like I'm being present with it every moment to see what unfolds. And it's so much better than doing it alone.
Yes.
And I'm thinking back, like, what is it that has this work? For me. And it's because it's you.
What we are creating here, we are opening new doors, and then new possibilities will appear. I don't know whether it's old doors we are doors that have been shut for a long time, and we just open it again. Allow.
Yeah. And we can't guarantee the door we open is going to be better.
But
Well,
it
it
gives us a
might
choice.
not, yeah, and it might not be better for us, but it certainly amplifies the vibration that we are impacting. In other words, so what I'm trying to say is when we make a choice of what we want, the energy with which we make that choice gets amplified.
Mm.
And we might not see the impact of that on our lives individually. But I really do believe it to me, it makes sense. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to me that we amplify that vibration.
Yes.
but that's how I make it up, right?
Mm.
So,
Perfect example. So let's work at it like a practical example we all experience together. Right? You ready?
yes, go for it.
So you burst in wanting to inject that in the conversation.
Mm,
Where you have been back, right? In the
mm,
silence, be listening, right? And then there was a moment where there was an intensity and amplification to a point where it was like you acted and spoke what you spoke.
mm-hmm,
That is a demonstration of it.
mm, mm,
And it's all those moments
mm. Yeah,
that build up, that create life. And if we have an underlying structure flow where our energy is positive and expanding, that is the biggest net you could put into the creation of the future.
Yes.
I would agree. And sometimes, like I said, it's not our future. It's not our individual future.
Right. And it's like, because it's not just our life.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
affect each other because all is energy. We are
Mm-hmm.
all in it.
Yes. 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 And you can add that to the net. It's like we are united, we are together,
Yes.
and not only now, but forever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you think about it, it's like your neighbor, it's like you're gonna be like forever. Like, wouldn't that change things?
Yes. It already did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then to see from other perspectives, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think full consciousness is only being able to experience everything. And so that takes a lot of time and people to experience everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not one person experiences everything, but every person contributes to the overall. And so when we hit that point of infinity, which eventually over enough time and iterations you can technically and not technically. So whatever. See, right there was one of it, right? It was like, oh wait, something's off in that. Right? That was my energy observing it, my energy, right? And it was like,
Mhm.
okay, boom, something was right there. It's like, oh, that was something inside of me, right? That I didn't like how I said that, how I spoke to it.
Observing and choosing.
That's right. I mean, it's already there for us. It's just we've been taught to look for something else.
Mhm. Or we're not in tune with it. We haven't.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And
Because
it's
yeah, our brain is like an antenna. We have to, and there's a lot of frequency that we can tap into.
oh yeah. We can't even measure it all yet, right?
No,
It's like
no, not at all.
you can't measure infinity.
No, exactly. Yeah, glad to be here. I love it. really helps me through the hard times. And there's been a lot this year.
Yes, you have had a lot of challenges this year, Chi. Very big ones. Very, very big.
But the only thing you can change is inside, you know. And
Yeah.
then the outside would follow.
Yeah. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine last night who lost her son 2 years ago. And
Oh,
as we were texting, it was very late. And she sent me an image that she had made that was a 3D image of both her children. And it's really beautiful. It's done, I think it's done in perspex. Is that the right word? You know, that see-through, very hard plastic. What do you call that, Liz?
transparent? No.
Yeah, it's transparent. You see right through it, but it's very dense. Anyway, perspex, that's what we called it. And I knew her before, but just as an acquaintance. So I didn't, you know, I didn't have a friendship with her, put it that way. And she was a very strong personality then. But there's something, and she would say this herself, that has expanded in her beyond what she ever expected to be able to experience. And that's because of the choices that she's made in terms of how to deal with her grief, how to work with it, how to channel it. And that all had to come from within her.
Yes. Like Pascal told a story the other day with a man who got cured of cancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
By
yeah,
taking care of
Alison, you were
ourselves,
gonna.
by that one. Sorry, Hank.
Oh, I was just thinking about Alison promised to talk about a Greek mythology or something about trust.
Ah, I'd forgotten. Thank you, Hans. So it's I'll just retell the last, well, not the last, but the relevant part. I mean, the whole story is very relevant, but I've forgotten the ending because this part towards the ending struck me so. All right, so you're dealing with the gods and the goddesses, right? But there's a mortal involved, and the mortal is in love with his muse, and his muse falls in love with him, and then they get married, and on the day of their wedding she dies, and he goes into this unbelievable painful mourning. And the mortal is a singer, and he plays the harp. And he decides that he's going to go into the underworld where Pluto resides and reigns with his wife Persephone. And he decides he's going to go into the underworld and retrieve his wife. So it's a whole journey on how he gets there. And then he gets there and his wife, Pluto's wife, Persephone, who is half mortal and half immortal, can empathize and identify his pain. And so she translates that to Pluto, who is a god, and, you know, he's like, whatever. And she persuades him to allow Orpheus, that's the singer, to take his wife back to the world with him. So Pluto agrees, and then he puts a condition on the agreement. And he says, she can follow you back, but you cannot look back at her. You have to go ahead and she has to follow you. And he says to Orpheus, do you trust me? So this is Pluto speaking. Do you trust me? Orpheus says, yes. He says, do you trust your wife? And he says, yes. And then Pluto says to him, do you trust yourself? And Orpheus says yes, because he's so attached to his wife. He feels like he cannot live without her. So he doesn't pay attention enough to the question. And off he goes. And as he goes, the closer they get to the veil, you know, between life and death, the more he starts to doubt. And of course, what does he do just as they get to the edge? He looks back. And what happens? She gets drawn back into the underworld. And the whole lesson of that, you can want something, you can go to the depths of the earth, you can go to the depths of yourself. I mean, that journey that he made was not easy, as you can imagine. But he didn't go being all of what he is. Didn't go with the potential of all that he is. Even if he wasn't a god, he had the potential of becoming one. So that's what I wanted to share.
Beautiful.
There's a lot in
Trust.
Greek mythology.
Trust is love, yeah. When doubts come in, it push love and trust and truth and all this to the side.
Yeah, and we in English language, you only have one word for love, which is a bit crazy. Never mind a bit, it's very inaccurate, I think. I mean, we have compassion, which I think is a better word. It's compassion that we need for ourselves and for others.
Unconditional love. Empathy. When we love ourselves unconditionally, it's like it changed everything.
You know, I think if we love ourselves properly, then we really do love life.
Yes.
Well, it's like we can begin to make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like we're going to do only what we know to do. And it's like I keep going flashing back to my meeting yesterday, and it's like I want to be rid, or like I'm fighting with anger,
Yeah.
right? It's like, no, it's like fine. It's like all that means is something's making you angry. What is it? It's not that it ever, like, the point is that it never happens. The point is, what's making me angry?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's happening, which, yes, is a piece of that, because it's like I'm tired of it happening again and again. It's like I should be better than this, all these things that we're telling ourselves on the inside. And it's like, yes, because you haven't gone through it, meaning you haven't faced it, you haven't let that
Yes,
anger go.
yes.
That's why it keeps coming back.
Hmm. Yes,
But I think part of also, Jesse, for me, part of letting go is accepting and embracing it.
Yes. Oh, completely agree. Isn't that what I said?
Obviously not clear to me. I had
Well,
to read
I know it wasn't. And the only reason I said that is because I heard you're fighting butt. I mean, did you hear the energy in which she injected with her wielding her sword?
Just had to look back to see if you were there.
uh,
You know, you gotta have fun with it because it's the awareness of it, right? It's
Yeah.
like, it's like, it's like, that's all we can see is the action. So, you know, when we already judge people's actions and our actions, it's just they're fixed one way that we do it. And it's like, oh, let's have more comedy with it.
yes.
Mm. Because that's how you get to the different reflections
That's right.
very
Hmm.
effectively.
Yeah, the
When you
laugh.
can laugh at yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing better than being able to do that.
But look, if anger's your pattern, and if you can laugh at yourself and that lets it go, then
Yeah.
you're redoing that pattern,
Absolutely. 100%.
redoing, replacing, resetting. But it's not like you've given up on it. It's just not as intense as it has always been.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what we're fighting.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. That is insanity. That we are attached to because it's the only thing that we know. We just don't observe that it's insanity because who would do something that's insane?
Mhm.
Mm. And God forbid that we do.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I told Allison about this yesterday. I'm thinking about like self-aware being and doing, blending them together. And I'm sitting there folding the towels with my wife. And
Mhm.
it's silent, right? It's silent in there. And I'm sitting there going, God, she's judging me for how slow I am.
Mhm. Mhm.
And all day long, it was like, why do I feel like I'm going so slow? And
Mm.
yet I have an urge to go fast. Huh, what is that?
Mm. Mm.
And then the big one was like, where do I feel that in my body?
Mm.
I
That was the
mean,
question.
yeah, you like that, Heinz, right? It's like not a simple one. It's not even, I'm not even judging myself. I'm judging through my wife's eyes that I must be slow.
Mhm.
She
What
didn't
what
say,
would change
she
if
didn't
what
say a
would change if
thing.
you went faster? What would change if you did it faster?
And so then I
Exactly.
always feel like I got to speed up, like so that I'm, quote, good enough. Do you see it?
Mhm. Mm.
See, that damn pattern will always be there. And it's there at everything if we look deep enough.
Mm.
And we go deep enough is the only place that we can really let it go.
Mm.
We got to get back to that point, but we can't go back in time. So we go back to that experience and that knows no time. Emotions know no time. Emotions know no time. They're timeless.
And you
And
were
that's
saying that.
sorry, Hans, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Oh, just as you were saying that, I was thinking about the movie with John Travolta, Phenomenon, where he's out in the garden and he's starting to just drop the tools and start flipping it over with his hands, and then he realized, why go a space? Why not just follow the flow? But he has to keep on speeding up until he finds that it's actually relaxing with it. That's the secret to it. Why do we feel like we need to speed up and compare ourselves to others?
Yes, good. Another thing with energy, right? It's like, oh, is it relaxed? Is my energy do like we can be pushing ourselves like as a professional athlete and still be relaxed.
Mm.
That's a real trick, but
Yeah,
that's the secret.
that
Yeah,
exactly.
but secret to it, yeah.
That's being and doing aligned.
Yes, absolutely. And that's also the secret in the middle that knows.
Hmm.
There's a refrain from a poem that I don't know if Hans and Chi will know because it's in English, right? So the the refrain goes, "We all dance around in a circle and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows."
Mm.
And I love that refrain because I often, when my thoughts are going crazy, then I, like Jesse, say to myself, okay, where is it in my body? And 90% of the time, my experience takes place in the midline of my body. That's just where my feelings seem to be stored. And what I find interesting is that when you were saying, Jesse, that emotions have no time, my immediate thought went to, because they're stored in the body.
Yeah.
And ironically, the body, what I was thinking is that the body does age.
Yes.
So you can't go back in time, but you can go into the body because it carries it carries the experience of time that has not been fully processed.
Mm.
Thank you for saying that much more, or adding more color to it. Like that's an example of yes and.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because you could have said that was completely wrong, Jess. I disagree with you. It's bullshit. I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I'm out of here. Right? You see, avoiding, running away, shutting down, saying no, like closing possibilities, which is how we live most of our lives.
Oh yeah, how the world lives most of it, our life, right?
Very, very simple to change. Doesn't take a whole lot of money. And yet people like to do the other things, like spend money on things that doesn't work. So insanity.
Yep.
And our market is driven by it. So why would anyone want to change the insanity?
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly it. That's how I make it up. Oh,
And there's
We
no
have to.
charge. There's no charge in either of those, was there? See there, like a sense, it's like frustration, right? It's like a sense of frustration. Great. It's just frustration. Why are we frustrated? Where's the frustration coming from?
Mm.
Our passion,
It all come from
our
lack of
purpose.
limitation.
Yes. And it's the difference between the two, right? The limitations that we put on it and the truth, like why we're here.
We need nurturing, here in order to evolve.
Yep.
We have to nurture ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Oh, hell yes, Chi. That is a much bigger, broader picture than people live a life.
oh yeah, I would
We are
agree.
Or like
complete.
even
We are not. Yeah.
live this moment. It's a great thing to fall back on, right? To have like the fundamental, to be like, be a reminder of like, oh, if I can accept that, right?
Mhm.
I mean, the point is that each of us accepts something as big as we can. Like, why not? You see how neutral that is too?
Yes.
We are much more than we think we are. We are.
Oh God, yeah.
Potential energy, right? Potential
Yep.
energy that we're limiting, that we're spending, like you said, Chi, right? It's like we limit on the patterns.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, we're so afraid of being
Yeah.
self-aware. We're so afraid of changing our patterns, our habits, our behaviors. Yet we want to, and we want to spend a shit ton of money about it and listen to somebody else on how, quote, fuck you. Like, listen to this, how they did it.
We
How
thought that.
they did. Holy shit, that isn't that dumb. And I was right in the middle of it.
But that's how
we
you
were
learn.
taught.
Mhm.
We're taught that being selfish is bad, but you
Mhm.
have to take care of yourself first,
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
matter what.
And
We
have
all
to do
go.
it our own way.
Sorry, Heinz, could you say that again? I'm so
And we
sorry.
have to do the things our own way, but won't be
Yes,
personalized to us.
yes. And in doing that, we go from ourselves to the other,
Mm.
and we experiment, we test it out. Like I come back to that thing that I always go on about. I feel as though I do, and that's about the variance of it's not just what you do, but it's the variance in the vibration of how you do it, because you can do it with
Yeah.
a a locked in,
Yeah.
let's say, mindset, which is the vibration, or you can do it with an open mindset.
Yep.
And living in the world, there are times where you really do need to have a very clear boundary about where you are going to put your energy and where you won't.
Yep.
It's very useful to have that. And I think it's very important.
Yes.
And then even in that, even when you make that choice, like when you make a choice not to be in somebody's company, you can make it with hate or you can make it with compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a difference. And it's the same with, whether you choose to be part of a group or, in terms of what they are working towards doing. You can welcome what they're doing, but it doesn't fit your skill set. You can be supportive of it rather than trying to go and do it and spend all that time learning new skills when you've got a set of skills that really are needed elsewhere. All those kinds of assessments that we make and discernments. That's
like yeah, like a solo artist can only do what he can do by himself, but an orchestra, that is much more powerful when we become one.
Yeah, and then imagine what it's like when you have an orchestra and a solo artist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No one succeeds alone.
I would agree totally.
Yet we want to believe we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we can. And so like another like awareness moment, it's like the air conditioner is always a point here. The only reason that you care about the air conditioner is when it doesn't work. Right? Let's be true. Let's be honest with it. Like the only reason like you care about an air conditioner is when it doesn't work. So yesterday, getting ready for a party, uh, she yells down the hall, the air conditioner's not working.
Oh shit.
And it's like, and she goes, is the breaker, like, did the breaker trip? And it's like, I'm cooking meat, right? I'm cooking meat to prepare it. It's like, I don't know. Like, I can't remember my response, but what it was, the response back was, she's like, I'm not accusing you.
Mm.
But it's like, yes, like that was my automatic to it, right? Is like it just happened. My automatic to it was like, yes. And it's like, you're right. It's like she helped me see. It's like, yes, I feel as if I'm being accused.
Mm. That's a great catch. Very good.
And she was just sharing an information.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
there is
Change. And so the point is like, oh, Jess, now change that.
Yeah. Yeah. easy, hey?
Right. And it's like, well, I wonder how that got there. Weird. Like that
Mm.
pattern just didn't show up.
Mhm.
I think we have to remind ourselves that there's a universe without and a universe within. We are each in our own universe too. We are the you inverse.
U inverse. Oh,
That's a good breakdown, Chi.
Yeah, I just heard it from somebody else.
No, it's lovely. It's a great one to pass along.
well, don't we steal everything?
Exactly. Nothing is original. But things,
Recycling.
but yeah, but the combination of things is unique.
Yeah, and we do add to it. And we do add to it. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from that, but because there is always adding to.
But that's what the uniqueness is about, isn't it,
Mhm.
Jess?
So definitely. Isn't that what I said?
Not with those words. You didn't say it with those words.
Heinz has got me figured out now. But and I was sitting with that yesterday. It was like I really looking at the being and the doing, and it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, you're doing that.
Hmm.
Are you being dad?
Yeah,
You're
that's
saying
such a good
pastel. Oh, you said it was green. Yeah, wasn't that what I said?
Yeah.
It's all about the perspective.
Right.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter which one we land on. What it does is, can we open it up to include more?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like doing that. Everyone knows what doing that is like. Like how do you know you're doing that?
I'm not doing this.
Yeah,
Doing that, not this.
yeah, right. There's always something. And Heinz, I may not agree with you, but again, it's like not to judge. Like it's like because so often I would like to, or it used to be my pattern to do it. Um, and I know you well enough that we can play with this, but my point is to bring it out into existence, right? Like so that people can be like, oh, you're right, I did judge it like he did.
Mm.
Because see, that's the being, like that's the learning in the background that's happening.
Mm.
So the dance is to keep the conversation flowing while being able to come and point out those things that we're talking about.
Mm.
Because it's the thinking, right? The speaking, the words, and the feelings. It's like the dance between those two.
Mm.
And since it's
So
dancing, it has to have a rhythm.
yeah, or and the flow.
Mm.
Like I think it's like flow is what I look for. And then not so much am I looking for the flow, I'm looking for where isn't it flowing. And that was at first, that was overwhelming because everything wasn't flowing. Like I had resistance to, like the hardest part was seeing the resistance because I was so entrained in my way of thinking, my rightness, my fight to be right, right? I mean, it was all I knew, and man, was it extremely small, but I didn't think it was. I mean, and we have a joke, a sexual joke in the world, right? I mean, that's exactly what's happening. That's why nobody stands naked on top of the stage and pays money for it in that way. sidetrack. I don't know why that was there. Mm. It's like as this group has evolved for coming up on 2 years now, right? It's like that was one of the things that I enjoyed the most was being aware of how I was triggered with what was going on out there, which meant what was happening in our group at the time. I was listening, I was engaged in the conversation, but sitting back listening, right? I was engaged, but listening. And I was just watching what was coming up for me.
And that's how we work with ourselves.
That's right. And in that, I could hear what, like certain things, I was a whole different listener when I did that. And I don't think a lot of people do that. And obviously, from the conversations I was in, a lot of people just wanted to hear themselves talk and got extremely angry when they didn't have a space to talk anymore. Well, if you're talking, no one else can talk. And so I am guilty of that too today.
Well, sometimes we just have to be the center.
That's right. Sometimes the ego's just still got to take me there, huh, Allison? And maybe it's
Somebody
not the
has to
ego.
be it. Why not me?
Yeah, maybe it's not the ego, right? Who like there is a very gray line between the capital S self and the small self else, like where they merge, right? That's a very fine line because we are one. We're just using the language to bring awareness to the difference.
But things works according to laws, and,
Yes.
like law of electricity, law of whatever. There's many laws,
Yes.
and yeah.
Or
That's why I think the basis of wisdom is understanding the laws of nature.
yes.
Mm.
But the laws variate. Gravitation ain't the
Not in the,
same in
not in the
Denmark as
electricity.
it is in the Himalayas.
Mm. Some laws are, you can. It's it's like it always been.
Yeah, but it always depends also on the energy that's given to the law, and we don't give the same amount of energy when we're doing stuff. Because we personalize it to be our way of doing it. It may look the same, sound the same, but it isn't the same because it's two different persons.
The electricity doesn't care, what you think of it or what you use it for. It is just there for.
Yep. It will light your light bulb just as well as it will ignite the electric chair. It don't care. It's about the purpose people have put it to. The charge they've given it. It's the same with the way the things we're talking about, the charge we're giving to whatever we're talking about. And even though it has the same charge, it may have different values.
Mhm.
But someone read a book and he said it was that way, so that's what we compare it to. Instead of comparing it to ourselves, aligning it with ourselves.
Mm.
Positive possibilities.
Yes, because continued negativity will also build momentum.
Mhm.
Mm.
So
And
will
give,
in positive.
yeah, and both give evidence, right?
Mhm. Most of us in our lives are not compounding positive interest
Why not?
That's a
because we're
great
judging
one.
ourselves, because we're judging ourselves, and others are judging us, or ourselves are judging ourselves through our others. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sitting, it's like being is like I'm being a role. It's like, what role am I being? We used to ask that question early on.
Yeah.
What role are you being? What role are you playing?
Hmm.
Because that's the observer, right? That's Allison, you said it great yesterday. It's like sometimes I just want to see what's happening and be the observer.
Mm.
Observe the difference between the little s and the big S. It's like, yes, because that's the structure.
Mm.
Bless you. I believe it. Amen. Just go.
I was just releasing the extra energy.
The
It has to
slingshot.
go
It's the
somewhere.
catalyst. That's right. The bean is the catalyst. And it's good to laugh with friends.
Yep.
It's so
Indeed.
good.
So healthy.
Well, I'm going to start charging you money. So
That's unhealthy.
it sounds like Heinz is ready to run away. Okay.
Me too.
It may be healthy to you, but it's
She
unhealthy to
too.
me.
All right. She too. All right. Now, Allison, what was your automatic? Do I have your automatic on a yes yet?
It was neutral.
I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. So we'll keep it free. But at some point you will have to pay to be my friend. How insane is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'll pay
Well,
But
to
I
be
is
think
your
it
that,
a
friend.
friendship then?
Sorry, guys.
Is it a friendship then if we have to pay for it?
Right, exactly. It's like, huh? How ironic is that? Yet you're really trying to be my friend. Oh, really? They really do make you feel like their friend.
Yeah.
And how often do you think like, oh God, I can't wait. He's going to invite me to his house. Fuck. Let me send you another 10 grand. Damn,
Yeah.
that's good. Insanity.
Once one person paid, well, why wouldn't the rest do it then?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I use this word hesitantly, but that's how myths get built. And yet mythology itself as a body of knowledge is so unbelievably valuable because it speaks to human behavior from eons ago. And yet even that is also through a lens, right?
Yeah.
A common theme, so when you go to different cultures, right, all over the world.
But we're the same. The micro expression, it's the same whether you're smiling or crying or angry. It's the same everywhere in the world.
Actually,
Mhm.
that started. I just, honestly, I just read the headline and a few sentences under it the other day, and they're finding that those micro expressions aren't necessarily universal, which
Okay.
I found very interesting. But I didn't read it, and I forgot completely where I saw it. But it will be somewhere in anthropology, one of the journals.
Mhm.
So I
I will
think,
look that up.
yeah, if you find it, I'll be really very interested.
Some of them are also entwined. You're happy to see a place you can get some water, but it's because you're thirsty. Might be happy to see a lion. Might be happy to see you, but it's because it's hungry.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's even a purpose behind why it is.
I mean, my immediate thought, when I saw that article was that our micro expressions could look different, but if you're standing in front of the person, you really could feel the vibration of that micro expression, and I think the basic of it you probably would feel.
Mhm.
So I think we all feel happiness and sadness and grief and rage and helplessness and joy and all of those things, right?
You can read in the person's face, whether it's been dominated and, for the last 10, 20 years, with grief or with pain or fear or whatever, joy or happiness.
For the most part, I would agree. Yes, I think so. So
Because you see the person, whether it's happy or not. Usually,
yeah,
most of the time.
yeah, I think so too.
When you're happy and full of self-confidence, and all that, you walk straight back, and with, not
Yeah,
as heavy steps.
Yeah, your gait is different, right?
You walk with your chin higher.
Yeah.
Possibilities you're looking for, you're optimistic, right?
Mhm.
Things feel good, they're flowing, right? It is place of life we would rather be our default.
Mm. Mm.
I think it is what most of us are looking for,
Mm.
but we're looking for it out there.
Mm.
when I get somewhere, when I have something, like when I do something. So it's by condition, right? It's like, oh, when I get there, right, then I'll have it, then I'll be it. So I'm going to do something and then I'll be it. The equation's just backwards.
Mm. Mm.
Society, right? The society equation is backwards.
Mm.
It is the only way we've seen it, and it's the only way we think it works. But when we really can see it, we can evaluate it and start to dissect it and say, oh, you're right, that doesn't work.
Mm.
So when you get really good at seeing your doing shapes your being, when you can accept that, because you practiced it, you did it intentionally, you discovered for yourself what it is, then we can let it go. And we can put being. It's like, oh, I can be that already. And when I be that, then I'm going to do it. So there's the flow. It's a different orientation. It's a different starting position.
Yeah.
That's all we're
Is the
doing. It's
law
just
of
changing.
maybe is it the law of causation that is at work there? Cause and effect.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry.
Or I don't know. Just a question. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think in part, yes. Well, for me, it is that. But then you don't stop with that. You
No,
put that in a creative structure. Because
like a guideline.
if you only go by the law of causation, for me, I think you can get into big trouble.
Mm.
But if you put it in because Jesse, as you were talking now, what came to mind to me was you were talking A goes to B, and what I didn't hear from you, and I'm not sure now whether you said it or not, was that B can also go to A. And that can bring about a different looking A and a different looking B.
Mm.
Well, cause and effect is continuous. It's endless also.
Yes, it
Because
absolutely.
the cause becomes the effect, and the effect then becomes the cause, and then it continues to the next.
And that's when it becomes a pattern is the key.
Yeah, but think about it like this. And this is just I could be
Here
missing
comes the
stuff that
fighting
you said.
butt. I like the fighting
Yeah,
butt.
no. Yeah.
Isn't that what I said?
So you've got
See, there's a pattern right there. It's like, oh,
it,
yeah, wonderful.
if you've got A, if you've got A and A brings about B in a certain context.
All right, so let me use A and B as if I'm going to start with doing, if I think doing something is going to create my being, that would be that. And then I could say, well, what if I said my being, if I'm being this way, then it's going to shape my doing. How would I be to have this do? It's kind of
Correct.
looking, yep.
And what I'm saying is, what if you allow the A to change as the B takes place?
Yes, I think it does. Great.
Not
And
not always, not
okay,
always.
it doesn't have to.
Yeah, and that for me, that's when I see people get stuck.
Yeah.
Right, because they've used that level of vibration, and then that recipe is set in stone.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to like people will fight to be right. Like you got to see that pattern first, because that
Correct.
pattern exists everywhere
Yes.
too.
Yeah, absolutely 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, and so since we are fighting, you know, people have different, they're going to call it differently. That's why I hate putting words to it. I hate calling it
Yeah.
what it's mine. I hate calling it out as what it's mine, because then you say, well, I got to take Jess's and have his. No, this doesn't work that way. That's why the same way, like paying someone for them to tell you how they've done whatever the fuck they've done is going to work.
Yes. Yes, I know. I know. No, I mean, I'm totally on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And A has many different B's outcome. And if you go the other way around, the many different B's and many different A's they could come from.
That's it. It's
Possible
and
possibility.
that's right. The fight to be right. So I've got to be right locks it in, like you said, and doesn't allow it to be anything different. Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes it's a big problem.
Yeah.
What we're wanting to see is which ones are causing the problem that we don't see.
I'm sorry, my alarm went off. Can you please say that again?
I said it's like the patterns that aren't working or that we can't see. Those are the ones that we want to improve.
Yes. Yes.
Yet we have to go like it's uncomfortable to see our fear, because we have to go through, we have to surrender. So here's the thing. It's like if we're fighting to be right, the only way to overcome that is to surrender to being right. So if I'm fighting to be right, the only thing I can do is surrender that, oh, I'm not right. Like I could be wrong. That is surrendering. I could be wrong. I might not be right
Okay.
in this situation. I'm surrendering my rightness.
Yeah.
And in a fight, you think of that as losing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't do anything that's going to have you lose. That's the insanity.
And yet by losing, you learn.
Mhm.
By so-called losing.
That's right. But you will avoid the fight, right? You will resist that fight. And that fight, like, keeps showing up year after year, lifetime after lifetime, until we see it, recognize it enough to be like, oh, that's going on. So that's that's why, like, well, fighting was mine, right? I would fight. Um, but frustration was before fighting. But I was also like fighting internally. And so that's why I can say, when I say my fight to be right is like the core of my ineffective, insane pattern. Ah, what a lovely conversation this morning.
Love it.
All right. Well, I don't want to use it all this morning, so we'll save some for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chi. Thank you, Heinz, Allison. Great being
Thanks.
with
Oh,
you all
have a
this
pleasant
morning.
day.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Much love. Bye bye.